Thronglets. We gotta look out for those thronglets. Welcome, Charlie.
Yeah, and you just had mentioned backstage how there's an actual Thronglets game. Big no thanks on that. Big no thanks.
You're kind of terrorized after that episode,
I
right?
didn't know that. I didn't know they went that far.
They did the actual QR code that comes up, like you can get the game and everything. Like they really have a whole game. It's amazing. But
Hell, I'm
wow,
even hesitant to use a QR code now after that episode.
I think I just kind of set you back, right? Like technology moves forward, and now the humans are like, nope, nope. I think I'll pass. I think I'll take a pass on that. But it was, I have to say, welcome everybody. By the way, Shill, thank you so much for being over there in Twitch and in YouTube. And Shill, I think Record said he would like hang over at Kick, but uh, this episode 4 of Black Mirror season 7 is called Plaything. And well,
I think it's
that
important for me to preface that I don't love Black Mirror as much as you. I definitely appreciate it. And I think my favorite episode was Metalhead. And
oh
when
yeah.
I watched this one, and I really liked it a lot because it's got the Doom elements that I like in anything, of course. So I
Mm-hmm.
really liked it.
Yep. Yeah, Jean saying hey to you. Here you go. Good afternoon, Jean. Can you see the comment chat in the I don't on the if when you're in StreamYards, if you hit comments, it should bring up, and it should actually show you from all 3 sites that I'm streaming to. They'll have a different symbol next to them. The red one would be YouTube.
The Thronglets are doing it in the background.
Yes, they are. They absolutely are. Well,
I have a love hate thing for them. I thought they were cute and it probably would be fun, but with what happened, no thanks, no thanks, no thanks.
kind of like reminded me from the way they looked, like a little bit like a Furby, or an Ewok, from Star Wars, or but the
Or
little
any of
boys
the
to me.
pixelated characters from the late 80s and early 90s,
Yeah,
really.
it was such a throwback. This whole episode was like a throwback. I was having nostalgia looking at the computer equipment, like you know, the computer that the main character Cameron was using.
Even the
I
magazine with the CD on it.
I had that exact computer, like with
What kind
the
of computer
CD
was
on
it? I
the
didn't
top.
pay attention to that.
I got mine from Gateway, which was the
That's what
cow.
my mom and I had, so it was probably the same thing.
Remember the big cow box that would show up? Yeah, like
Yep, that was like my mom's major expenditure for like our entire life, and
right. So it was white like that, and the monitor was all. I had a compact monitor from Compact, and that's how big it was. Like it coming out the back, had a big old butt coming out the back of it and
yeah,
stuff. It was huge.
weighed
Took up
about
the
30
whole desk.
pounds.
Yeah, like that's when your computer took up your whole desk, like completely. It was like insane, absolutely insane. But this whole episode Plaything was a throwback to, like, reminded me
Ah,
so much of the original Black Mirror. And I like the idea that you're not a super fan, because like I just did an episode with Mr. Mayor with Kurt from West Side Girl Reacts.
yep.
He's not a fan either. But we could do a good episode, like just watching a Black
Going
Mirror
back to our
episode on its own.
backstage talk before, I think Jen just refreshed your memory. Were you thinking of the Lemmings?
Maybe.
I think you probably were, because
What
you had
about the
said
little
they look familiar, the Thronglets themselves.
Yeah, they really do look familiar to me in like the noise, and it could be they could, Jin, like, but I didn't play too many video games and all when I was younger, and I don't remember. I'm very bad with names anyway, you know. But it was just the whole episode was a throwback, but it was beautifully done. Of course, Brooker is an amazing writer, screenwriter. He again, with his production company, is the producer. He's still writing it with the same people. Um, I believe are that I mean, I know more about the cinematographer than I do the actual
I'm a nerd for cinematography, and that's one thing I definitely have noticed in the Black Mirror episodes that I have seen, which is I've seen more than half of them, so I'm not totally
Hmm.
blind to it. But some of the stuff I noticed in this, I really liked. Like it was the way it was shot reflected what exactly what was going on. Like when I'm jumping ahead in the episode, but when he kills his buddy for
Yeah.
killing the Thronglets, it goes from a standard smooth shot to throbbing, pulsating handheld camera
Hmm.
looking as he's absolutely losing his mind.
I absolutely love that, especially the red shot, like when,
Oh
and
yeah,
the just completely red shot. Like the cinematographer was Joe Wilhelms, and it's just the way they did the '90s, but at the same time the future, like just that blend back and forth from the '90s into the sterile aspect of like when he goes to Tucker Soft, which is like the whole thing is supposed to have happened in, like, we're watching an episode from 2034, only 9 years away, people. Okay. Only 9 years away, which was creepy for me. I'm like, it's not so far in the future that this would happen,
I don't
because
think it needs to be. That could have been tomorrow for all the shit I'm aware of.
yes, exactly, for everything to happen, because like even though it's set in 2034, and do you want to do like a little plot, or I'll just do the little plot, whatever you want to
You can
do.
go run ahead and do it. I'll jump
Okay,
in if I feel a
so
need.
basically the premise is Plaything, and for anybody who hasn't watched it and doesn't like spoilers, you should know better than to be on my channel, because I've ruined everything, because I'm gonna talk about it all. Okay, because my Black Mirror, we talk about it all. So that's your only spoiler alert. You should know better. It's about, it kind of follows the guy Cameron Walker, who's is a video game journalist. Okay, and he's working, for PC Magazine at the time, which was a big throwback. They actually used an actual edition of PC Magazine in the episode. They
I'm so
actually
happy that
shot
they gave
a real
permissions
one.
to do that. It helps a lot.
They did well. Charlie used to work with him, so
Oh, I
like, of
didn't know that.
course, yeah, he was a game writer. He was a video game writer and stuff like that way back. So he has some connections, I would say. But anyway, this kid Cameron Walker, he writes for the magazine, and in the opening shot, he's older, and as older Cameron Walker, it's played by Peter Capaldi. Okay, our 12th Doctor Who, done really well. Plays a person that most people would think is insane. He's in a liquor store. He drops a bottle to get arrested, and they find that he's high. The technology in the arrest blew me away. They do
Yep.
DNA swabs on the spot, okay, and identifications on the spot. Found out his DNA came up in an old crime, and he gets arrested for murder. Okay, and during his interrogation, he starts to tell the story of what happened. And anyway, he was like, he's supposed to go over to Tucker Soft, because this episode is actually like a spiritual or sister episode to Bandersnatch. You're going to see the owner of Tucker Soft in there, Mo, and you're going to see Colin. Colin's
Yep.
back, our favorite lunatic from Bandersnatch. Okay, the video game coder, the genius, Colin Ritman, played by Will Poulter. Now, Will is a very strange character. Actor. Colin's an even stranger character. Okay, but very eccentric programmer there. But he's supposed to go for an interview there, and Colin tells him about this game, Thronglets. That's not a game. It's not like a normal game. And they have this great conversation, right, Charlie, about what video gaming is.
Yeah,
And
I wonder till even now after watching it a couple more than a couple times, I probably missed something obvious, but I wonder why he targeted this journalist, this troubled kid so much. He did allude to seeing something in his writing And
He
he
said
also
he
alluded
wrote.
to you're way different than talking face to face than you are in your writing.
I'm glad you said that because he did. He said he wrote so strong and forceful, like he knew. So, in other words, like when he was writing about coding and games and things like that, he was in his element, and he said he was fierce and strong. He said, but in person, like you're not that,
Yeah.
like, you're not that because the
And
guy
then
was
he
pretty.
even said, and I'm glad for that.
Yeah, he said, I like that. I'm glad for that. Like he liked it actually that he wasn't like that at all. And then you find out why, because when he's talking about the game, he's very negative about gaming and the violence in gaming and the you just got to win, you got to conquer, you got to kill, you got to slay, you know, but like all of that. He doesn't get into the intrigue
Which
or
is a
like
very circular theme throughout the whole thing.
exactly, which we find out because when Cameron gets arrested, he's in within I guess the English version of a detective, and they also have a social worker or a psychologist, for evaluation, a therapist there, because he seemed a bit odd. Odd is just not even the word to say how Cameron actually is in the
Yep.
future in 2034. He's definitely on another plane than the rest of us. He's talking about the creatures in this game, Thronglets, which isn't really a game. It's kind of as Colin said, he actually called it a new life form. A
Yeah, and
dig-
I view young Cameron and the old Cameron in the interrogation room. They're two different, completely different people.
they sure are. The
Like
confidence
young
level.
Cameron can't even look people in the eye. He's shaky. He can't. He's socially absolutely inept. And then the older Cameron is like almost theatrical and poetic and enjoys talking. It's totally different.
But only about the game.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
like only about the game. And he tries really hard not to be aggressive, even when somebody's being aggressive to him. Like he tries to, almost school them on a little bit. Like, um definitely a totally different version. Much more confident. Much more confident.
Yep.
But it's because of his whole world has been this game. Because what he does is he goes for the interview with Colin. Colin tells him all about the game and everything, and he wants him to write the story. He steals the alpha disc for the game.
Which
Okay.
was couldn't be more intentional. I mean,
It really was.
I'm
I'm
going to
sure
go take my
Colin,
medication now and leave
yes,
this gift wrap.
yes, right. And hoping he would. And the kid knows that he even says, I really think he wanted me to. I think the Thronglets wanted me to. And I think Colin wanted me to take it because he said, I definitely got the feeling it was speaking to me. It wanted to be taken. It
Yep.
wanted to be taken. I was like, well, for someone who's so timid, that was a pretty bold statement, you know? And so he takes it and he goes back. He's supposed to be writing this article about the game. So he loads the game and he's going to check it out. And the game isn't really a game. It's like a computer program that creates a life form, a digital life form that just keeps multiplying. And you kind of just take care of it. You just follow along with whatever it needs. They have their own little language. They try to make noises at you, which are this like sing-songy, just
Especially when it's one after the other. It's like,
I know. It sounds like one thing that struck me is that when Cameron rather is in the beginning, when he goes to get arrested, he's wearing headphones, and what's playing in the headphones is your old time standard dial up noise, like
yep.
that trying to connect that we used to hear.
Same
We
at
don't
the
hear
end. Yep.
we don't hear any of that anymore, like in 2025 when you're connecting to anything, you don't hear that.
It's
But
actually the
back,
same sound as you hear at the end, which we'll get to, obviously.
yeah, yeah, but that's going to be something. Like, don't scare them; they won't stay. They won't stay. Hey, Record, thanks for joining us. But they definitely, that sound that we used to hear all the time. If you tried connecting to anything in the 90s, and you heard that dial-up. But that's what he's playing in his headphones. And I didn't kind of understand that at first. Like,
I
why?
didn't notice it at first. I was too busy wondering what he was doing physically. I didn't even notice it.
Yeah, as why is he listening to that, But it becomes evident much later. So anyway, we've got all that dial-up noise. We go into his room. His room is like the typical gamer's room. It looks like he eats, sleeps, everything right there with the computer all crowded on the desk. Like I said, throwback to the 90s computers from Gateway that came in the box, all like the huge things that took up the whole desk, monitor the size of a planet.
That
Sitting
was
there.
awesome. That was also very nostalgic when it showed. I think we're chronologically right here when it showed him when it dawned on him that he needed the Thronglets were telling him he needed more processing power, and he was going around the city buying all the PlayStations and all
Right.
the
All,
handheld devices, all of them, and it showed
yep.
all of them. And I was like,
And it's
I had that one too.
exactly all of these old applications. You can't even get them anymore. But yeah, all in the original boxes, which was really cool because they actually the original packaging and everything. I
Yep.
thought that was really great by the production company. I mean, the team in cinematography and the director to actually throw that in there. Making it feel, that's how they do it. Like they make it feel so authentic when they're bouncing back and forth from the future to the 90s.
Yeah, it can't
all
be easy.
all of the imagery for the 90s is just it's just like spot on. Even the lighting, how in the 90s when we got film, like that discoloration that kind of had, it was in color, but it was like not like now.
It's like kind of muted.
Yeah, it was even like you could even tell that even with the lighting and everything, they brought it right back to all of that.
Like Stranger
All
Things did the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just real. It was just real. I just found that was just really well done. So Cameron loads the computer program, and he immediately becomes immersed in this world of these little creatures, this, these little throngs, and they become a thronglet, like a whole bunch of them, but they're just multiplying and they're making little sounds, and he looks ecstatic when he's doing things with them on
Happy
the
for the first time.
like really happy, like, and he's just, it takes over his whole life. They're speaking to him. So
And then
in
his friend comes over and we get the spark.
I don't even know if he's a friend. He's just like
Y-
somebody who just comes over. I don't even
Yeah.
he only knows him by his nickname, Lump. Okay. And he's just your typical, sleep on your couch, get high, just hang out for a while, and then just off to do something else kind of guy. We all know somebody that like that in our life from our past or whatever. And he says he's like a friend, but he's like, he doesn't talk about him like he's a friend. But then again, when he's talking about him, it's in the future because he's telling the detective,
Yep.
because he get arrested for this murder because they found a suitcase in the woods with a body in it with no hands and no head, and doesn't match any DNA. The only DNA on the suitcase is Cameron's, lots of it. It was Cameron's suitcase, and they know he had something to do with it. So they're questioning him, and he's telling them about Lump coming over and what had happened because he wants to actually tell them what happened. Like he's not trying to hide anything, but he wants to tell them this whole long story. And
And the psychologist sees that from the get go that he's not making shit up at all.
nope, that he's being honest about it and it needs to come out. And she's trying to help him because the detective is just like, just tell me who it is. Like, we don't care about you. You were bullied as a kid. We don't care about this. And he's like, I'm trying to give her foundation. She wants to know
Yeah,
what,
you
you know,
had good cop, bad cop the whole
yeah.
time.
And so she's like, and the whole time, all he's asking for is paper and a pen, like insistently. From the minute he gets arrested, he needs paper and pen, and they won't give it to him. But it's going back and forth. The detective cop is like really aggressive, and then the psychologist woman, analyst, she's just like the mediator in between. She's really listening to him, and he starts to tell the story of Lump being there, and then he had to go for the interview. He runs over to Tucker Soft, meets Mo and Colin, and has his like, Colin's like one of his heroes as a programmer. He just thinks he's great. He's going to go meet him. He starts off very timid, but he's really thrilled to meet him in person. That office was amazing, wasn't it, Charlie? Like we'll do at the end the Easter eggs, but
Yeah.
that was a gold mine in there.
Yeah.
Like just wherever Colin was a gold mine of Easter eggs. Well, so he runs back, gets the programming going. So Lump comes over that day, and he's kind of annoyed that he is interfering. But they get high,
On
and
acid, it's
they
worth
drop
noting.
acid. They take a nice trip. Okay, and this is when I learned that introverts with real programming skills should not drop acid. Okay, because now Cameron thinks he can communicate with the Throngs. He thinks he understands exactly what they want and exactly what they need. And they're telling him, they're giving him the lists of all the PC components to buy, and they're telling them what they want and everything. And they drop acid that night. They have a great game play, a great time playing games. He feels free. They show this whole episode of him being so happy, and
Actual laughter and smiling, which is
right, and
alien. Yeah.
which is not his character at all because he's so introverted. And he talks to the Thronglets, and that's it. He's smitten. That's his whole life after that. But he has to go to this interview. So he leaves Lump in the house, and he has to go to the interview. And he comes back, and he hears the Thronglets screaming because Lump.
Screaming.
Yeah, you want to tell this part? Oh, this is so sad for me. You tell this part. Just
Yeah,
take it.
so Cameron was just cultivating and happy and listening to the Thronglets and basically doing their bidding, giving them access, making them stronger, more hardware, blah blah blah. Leaves, comes home, hears the screaming, and that's when the cinematography shifts to just like vibrating camera work and intense scenery. And Lump is basically picking up rocks on the screen and dropping them on the Thronglets, and they splat. He's got a
Mhm.
bunch of them pinned into a little rock area, and they're all on fire. And of
It's just,
course, a fight ensues, and that's when Cameron kills Lump.
mhm.
And
I
he
mean, he
immediately
literally
tries to
goes.
save them. He's pouring water on the fires,
Mhm.
and he's just I think that's when you mentioned it goes red.
Yeah, when the scene where they're fighting and all is very. First of all, he picks up an ashtray and hits him in the head, but it doesn't kill him. It
Yeah,
just it just
really
stuns
starts the
him,
fight. Yeah.
and then it ranges him. But that ashtray is a throwback to, that's the same ashtray that Colin used to kill somebody in Bandersnatch.
See, I would have never known that in a million years.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, "Whoa, there's the ashtray!" Like because I saw Colin and Mo, automatically my brain was at Tucker Soft, like at Bandersnatch, like because those two characters, the owner of Tucker Soft and the main programmer Colin, were the whole episode. I mean, pretty prominent in the episode, and it just brought my mind there, you know as soon as he picked. Plus, it's a big, heavy ashtray from the 90s, those big glass ones that they used
Yeah.
to have. Like, it's pretty prominent for the area. He just picks it up, he bashes them, and then they have the fight scene. But then after the fight scene is the cinematography I'm talking about, when he's doing the flashback of what he did with the body,
Yeah.
about the cutting up, and it's really done very surrealistic. It's like flashes, and then it's like him covered in blood. It's him sawing. It's pretty graphic.
Yeah,
There's
because
a
you're not
lot of
exactly
red.
putting a body in a suitcase without some wet work.
Exactly. And it's just one shot where the whole screen is just red and he's in the middle. And like just that it was just a beautiful shot. Like I gotta give props to the cinematographer for that one, because that was just like wow.
Yeah.
I said, that was a moment there. Well, so he kills them. He tells them that that's how he ended up in the suitcase and everything. And he's still going on about the Thronglets, and he's trying to save them, right? And
Yep.
and the psychiatrist is understanding that this is really, really involved. So then he also, during that part, gets to a bit of a creepy part, right, Charlie? During the interview, and he's talking about, after that, like communicating even more and more with them and getting them more computer equipment, and they would give him like lists and stuff like that, talking about trying to get rid of wanting to understand humans, but in order to do that, they have to get rid of the violence and
Yeah,
the
and you got to wonder if that detachment, Cameron detaching basically from humanity, you got to wonder if that would have happened without Lump.
I think it sealed the deal because
Yeah.
of the happiness he felt like communicating with these little creatures, or so he thought he was communicating. And by the way, he continued to do a lot of acid. Lump introduced him to it,
And he bought
but
it all. Yeah.
after he went and bought a whole bunch and kept it in a little secrets metal secret box, another throwback to the 90s.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I didn't keep LSD in there, but definitely I
I
know
kept some other
many.
stuff in there, that's for sure.
I was just gonna say there was plenty of other stuff that it was like everybody that I know had a little secrets tin, right, Charlie? It was just like, yep, everybody just had the little secrets tin for whatever they did. But that was a big throwback too. I felt a little old watching this.
Yeah, I get that a lot watching stuff these days.
I said, wow, there's like so many throwbacks here to like an era I understand very well.
A bygone era.
A bygone era. Um, but uh, that whole juxtaposition there, Charlie, about how happy he was before Lump did what he did, and
Yep.
then the violence he was capable of, and the anger that he felt. Um,
Which he
when
probably would have lived his whole life without ever knowing.
without ever knowing, I can't see him ever getting mad about anything. I
Or
mean,
doing it
because
again, for that matter.
he was very introverted and shy and into his programming, but like the one scene where he worked at PC Magazine, when the guy comes over and he goes, "Hey, I'm up here, look up here," and he immediately would look at him, and he wasn't in fear or anything. It was, he was cooperative and he wants to communicate. He tried he's communicating and everything. He's not trying to avoid. He's just very timid about it. You
Yep.
know, it's almost as if he needed instruction. If you said, "Oh, here, look up, I'm right here," he would, and he would start talking to you. It wasn't like he was hiding away from anybody, but he was not comfortable. He was obviously not very comfortable. And the kind of uncomfortable that even when he was alone, he was like acting like that before Thronglets. You know what I mean? Like when they
Yep.
showed him in his apartment and all, he also still seemed very timid and very quiet, reserved, slumped over, just the body positions. Um, and the Thronglets very, very much gave him confidence in like a place of belonging. He felt needed, I think,
Yep.
and
And that was
responsible.
a opportunity for him to nurture something that he was never gonna
Yeah.
nurture a family or anything like that.
Yeah, but do you want to tell him the drastic thing he did to communicate with him more easily? Eh,
Which drastic thing do you mean? I'll piggyback on you.
Um, the one that altered him physically.
Oh yeah, so they told him to do that, right?
Hmm.
Yeah,
They
I
they
think he
needed
kind of a
a better
piggyback on Elon's Neuralink kind of fears and jeers of today with he had I don't know the technical term, but he put in
a port.
a port, perfect,
Mhm,
perfect, a port in the back of his head, kind of Matrix style, and that was a cool scene. He's
mhm.
like, it hurt, not as much as I thought it would, but it hurt, and that's when that I good time to bring that up because I think that's the moment, one of the key moments when his interrogation really got serious, and the bad cop was you're a absolute psycho, and the psychologist was like, oh my god, he is completely serious about all of this
He's
because he
very
showed
serious
them
about it.
and they were
They
like
were
aghast by it.
they were shocked. They physically were revolted in like were shocked by it.
It's not like it was clean and sci-fi well done. It
Uh-uh.
was very crude from
Ew.
somebody that couldn't see the back of their own head when they did it.
Yeah. And then they flashed to a picture of him doing it with the drill. It was just but anyway, the Thronglets told him to do that so that they could get a better understanding of humans and the human brain. And they couldn't just do it through interaction. They needed to see the human brain. They needed
Yep.
to physically be there. But he told the interviewers, don't worry, I'm still me. They haven't taken me over. They're like a friendly parasite. They're just here with me and we understand and can talk to each other. We're just sharing space, so to speak. Like
And if you
instead of
put yourself in the position of those interrogators, I personally, I would think, I would be thinking this guy has gone so far across the deep end, none of this is real. I would still think that.
yeah. Like I can't even imagine being across the table trying to talk to him. You know, and just thinking that he's crazy. I understand the detective's, approach because he's trying to find out who's in the suitcase, and this guy is just rambling on about a video, these little things in a video game.
Yeah, they went from an initial murder interrogation to this guy's got a freaking port in his head.
Yeah, exactly. And he's like harming himself. Is he? And now, like, I could see the detective wondering, was he a danger to everybody else and this and that? And then the psychologist saying, like, we need to find out where this is going, like, because I need to know, like, what he has done.
And
Like,
quick. Yeah.
and quick, what are we going to do about this? And still, all he wants is a pen and paper. And so after they show him the port, and he talks about how they're communicating, and he got them all this equipment, and they just want to expand, and they want to share the world. Here's where it gets kind of scary.
This is where he starts asking for a pen and paper.
A lot, and like consistently. And so the psychologist asks to speak to the detective outside of the room, and just says, why, just give it to him. Like, you'll get your, if you get him comfortable enough to do that, you'll probably get your answer about who it is, because all he keeps telling him is his friend Lump, and he doesn't know his name.
And she's like, he does not know this guy's name, period.
He doesn't. So,
and I don't think he's asking for a pennant because the jerk is like, he's just going to try to stab us with it or something. And she's like, no, we just need to get him because even Cameron's like, it can be felt tip. I don't care. Just give me something.
Right. He just wanted something to write with. And he's so insistent. Like, and I kept going, why is he so insistent? Why is he like,
yeah, me too.
I'm like,
great twist. Great twist.
This is really weird, because he first says like he wants to explain it to them, but then she already gets it. So he doesn't have to explain it too much deeper for her. And he really, at that point, I don't think he cared if the detective understood or not. So I was wondering, why does he keep pushing for it? Like, that's when I got a little suspicious.
So to sum up to this point, Claire, I think it's worth saying that from the beginning of the episode, I honestly didn't pick up the first time that it was obvious he got arrested on purpose, but his whole intention from the shoplifting scene at the beginning was to be in that position with a pen and paper at that moment.
Well, he did, because he actually did tell them he wanted them to arrest him. He said, why do you think I dropped the bottle? I knew you would come. Like, and I was like, what do you mean you wanted to get arrested? So you're not that crazy.
Yeah, me too. That's such a good twist.
Yeah. And so here he is. He's like, completely, all he cares about are the Thronglets and promoting what they want. And he's just like, he's like a Thronglet advocate. He's like,
and up until this point, it's pretty small scale.
Yeah, he's like the ambassador for them or something. His whole world is about them. But they finally give him the paper and the pen, right, Charlie? And and he's still talking to them while he draws this thing. And he's like, you see him working there and working there and working there.
No idea what he's doing.
And then at this point, I didn't know what he was doing, because we saw it before, but we didn't realize what he was doing.
I thought he was writing code, or I don't.
Yeah. I thought he was drawing a cute picture of a Thronglet or something. Like, I didn't really know. But he holds it up, and as he holds it up to them, he turns and puts it to the camera and talks about the computer system through the camera and all. And what he did was write a QR code, a program code.
It's actually really pretty.
It is really, yeah, they have a lot of nerve making it so nice, right? Because what it does is now he's telling them what he just did was take over the whole computer system everywhere, which will go all over the world. And within 30 seconds, you're going to hear a sound, and all aggression and everything is going to change and going to be removed from you.
They had an opportunity there to stop him.
And they didn't. I don't know how. It was already in the system.
No, I mean, when he held it up to them, I guess they couldn't have been like,
Oh,
"Oh, I know what that
yeah,
is."
but honestly, if somebody held it up to me, I wouldn't think he's going to take over the computer by flashing it to them,
But yeah,
flashing
he
it to
turns
the
to
camera.
the he
Yeah,
he. I think if I remember right, that's when he is talking about getting arrested on purpose and how
right.
everything led to me being in
Just
this
to lead,
room and me
just
turning
to
to this
do
camera
this,
right now.
so the Thronglets can get into the computers of the
And
world.
even
Yeah,
up till then, even after then, when he's pointing the QR at the camera and the Thronglets are doing their thing, there's still skepticism. And
they
then
don't
it
believe them.
pans to
Yeah.
their smartphones and you see a progress bar.
Right. And but that's when I flashed back to, oh, that's why when he went into the interrogation room, he checked out the camera and he talked to the camera, remember? He
Yep,
said hello, and then he was saying like that's the smartest computer in the area. Like he wanted to get arrested because that computer system for the police station was tied into a huger network all over
which has a
England. So
database on probably at that in 2034 with their
all
DNA swabs on the spot. That's got
right.
everybody in it.
So it was like he was going to use the law enforcement network to go multi-country too, like all over the world, because they all interact with each other now, for
And with the
internet
Thronglets
crimes.
processing power, it just grew exponentially with each nanosecond.
Yeah, that's what they're telling us because it just kept getting bigger and bigger. But then, we get the ending. The noise happens, right? The
The
sound.
same noise from the beginning. Yep.
Yep. That noise happens, and every single person that we see, just eyes go up into their head white, and they fall out. It's like their brain was taken over. Boop, just wiped. Eyes up into the head, flat out they go.
And while
Every
it didn't show a worldwide scope, my post-apocalyptic love assumed that this
well,
is basically worldwide.
I'm kind of getting used to it from watching a lot of dystopian, like when they do that pan out and they start showing you distance and distance and everything getting smaller and smaller. To me, that kind of means the whole world.
Yeah, it
Like
did show some
you,
people outside laying on the
you know,
street.
you know that one pan out view that I'm talking about, where
Oh
you
yeah.
show a city and then you show it getting wider into the land and wider, and it's just panning out, and you just get this impression that they're talking about like the whole world.
Yeah.
Oh,
But also and then we get an idea that they're
they're
waking up again.
the rocket, right? It's actual technology that people use. What he did in the police room is actually possible. There have been actual attacks by people putting up QR codes with malicious URLs. Exactly. Sending code into systems to do nasty stuff. Q codes are great, but bad at the same time. Like, well, let's just say the format is great and innovative and very useful. It's always just like every Brooker episode. It's always humans that turn the technology into
So
something
you're
bad.
the expert out of the two of us by far with Brooker. Is there another season planned or they don't know yet?
I don't think Brooker intends to stop writing Black Mirror as long as he can. He's usually seasons ahead in his stories. Uh,
Because I like this episode so much that I would love to see what happened next because a lot of assumptions are left up to the viewer like what happens next, how big is it? I from what the from the lore from the episode, I'm just thinking everybody that received it is just a human thronglet and it's
mhm.
probably just going to hell, it could go into interstellar space for all I know.
Yeah. Good, fair point there, Rocket Couch. Humans are also the weakest point of just about any system. That's why modern hacking is 99% social engineering.
Yep.
Fair point. I mean, and yeah, fair point. But this was very. First of all, Charlie, I don't want to break your heart here, but if you're waiting for Brooker to continue a story for you, it's a long, long, long wait. He doesn't do sequels. He don't.
Yep.
And
Just
so
kind of like revisits things and alludes to
Mhm.
things again.
And here's the thing, Brooker loves to leave you with the punch in the gut. He loves to leave you with the question at the end. If he doesn't feel he's done his job unless he leaves you that way. And
Like I'm
so,
picturing Cameron way older, hair down to his waist, half rotted away, covered in tubes and diodes and nodes in a big throne in a space colony ship with thousands of humans on it
oh,
as
and he's,
Thronglets as he goes
oh,
out to
like
colonize
the
more
Borg,
planets.
he's the
Yeah.
beginning of the mind, like
Yeah.
something like the Borg,
That's what
where
I'm saying.
everything's connected. Oh man! And for those of you that don't know, that's definitely the Borg is a Star Trek reference there.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, I'm a geek. I know it. I'm a nerd. Like, chill out. I, I know this about myself. You don't need to tell me. Star Trek, the Borg, that whole thing, it's kind of gives me that, like he would be the center, right? If they
Yep.
continue to, and then the reason Charlie and I both think it'll be continued, because I think we do, is that the last scene is Cameron bending over the detective who is now prone, laid out on the ground with his eyes up in his head, and he's extending him a hand.
To help him
That's
up,
the,
basically.
that's the image you see, and it's like and the cinematography is coming from the detective as if he's looking up, and you
Yep.
see a blurry version of Cameron reaching his hand towards him as if he's going to wake up and just take his hand and everything's going to be fine. And I'm like, nothing's ever going to be fine again. You're all either like, one-on-one with a thronglet, or you are a thronglet. Like, I don't know what you are anymore.
Yeah, the possibilities are endless from Borg to Skynet to every other trope.
But basically, it was like a catastrophic event. Well, the whole thing was just very, very myopic into just the question of like a digital life form itself. Like, how far are we from something being created just through like just digitally?
And
Like,
it's a warning, probably, that, like I said, how we look down at new forms of air quotes life, even if they're artificial, to our own detriment.
artificial, and or we're even that way with lesser life
Yeah,
forms
yeah, yeah.
that are actually living, like animals. Like, look at how humans in their superiority treat anything beneath them, or what they feel is beneath them.
Other humans, even.
Even other humans, if you feel like they've got a tendency to treat everything like it's lesser than themselves. Just trying to bolster up their own ego and their own power, um, just by making others feel less than.
And I feel
Um,
it worth mentioning because everyone knows I'm a Stephen King nut. But as soon as the tone went out and it
yeah.
showed it affecting people, it reminded me immediately of a pretty unheralded Stephen King story that was also a movie called The Cell,
Yeah.
where that tone went out over the cell phones and turned everybody into violent
Oh,
people.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Aggressive and like monsters. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's a good comparison there, actually. Um, Brooker himself, when he talks about this episode, we keep talking about that 90s feel of it in the gaming. He definitely admits to drawing all from his own experience in the 90s, being a games journalist, and his childhood devotion to Tamagotchi. I mean, when Tamagotchi goes bad, this is definitely the episode about it. Anybody remember those little like things? It was like a keychain little computer pet.
I remember them, but I just thought they were super lame. I remember just
It was
thinking that.
I never had one myself, but my nieces and nephews did. But I am definitely guilty of killing very many Tamagotchis. I mean, they would leave them with me because they wanted to do something, and I didn't feed them. I didn't push the buttons. I didn't.
Well, I related to this episode a lot because this is a weird insight into my psyche, but I've played video games since Atari on up, since like 1984 on up. And I always play games as though there is a universe somewhere where this is happening. Like, I can play Grand Theft Auto beginning to end and not kill one single civilian. I can play Red Dead Redemption and keep the same horse alive the entire game. And I've just always been compelled to do that. So maybe I'll be okay. Maybe the Thronglets will spare me.
Maybe you'll be the next one that they try to get a hold of.
It won't work with me. They'll be like, you need to do this on your computer. And I'll be like,
You're like,
what?
I can't program. I'm not putting that jack in my head. Are you nuts? Like, no, I can't. but like definitely Brooker wanted to create something here, and he admitted the parallels between how cute a Tamaguchi was from his childhood to the actual darker implications of AI evolution that
Yep.
we are seeing now. He definitely wanted to put that juxtaposition there, the cuteness versus, the darker implications of what could happen. He actually described this episode, and I quote, as one of the most autobiographical as it gets, as far as he's concerned, because reflecting on the chaotic and youthful environment from the 90s that he was in and the gaming industry during that time, but also his thoughts on where technology was going and the
Yep.
risks and all there, which I thought was good because it was pretty evident with all of the throwbacks and especially with the number of Easter eggs that were in this
Which we
particular.
should talk about now. You being the expert again, that I will capitulate to fully.
Before I do that, I want to talk about like the public reception, what people are actually saying about this episode, just a little
Oh,
bit,
okay.
really, really short. Basically, most people it was something that I actually thought for this one. I'm not on the edge here, and I'm not like it. I feel like I'm part of the throng of the Thronglets opinion, because most people are saying this is like a throwback to early Black Mirror, where it was all about the technology, the good, that the technology was sound, and it's the good and evil of humans that are using it, and the darker implications and the psychologically darker implications of warnings on the future that the first two seasons of Black Mirror were all about. You were physically jarred by most of those.
Like technology dragging us into changes that we're probably not ready for too fast.
Or the warnings that of just human nature itself, that it's going to be very easy to be taken over by technology, because in our thirst, in our bloodlust to be the best at everything, we don't always think everything through
Yep.
and create our own problems, kind of thing. Um, and that it's only humans that are in charge of advancing technology, and humans are incredibly flawed individuals.
Yeah, these struggles basically started with Oppenheimer and never stopped.
And never stopped, exactly. So like that's like the public reception. Some people are saying like they're so glad to see it come back, because it's now we're talking about the busy bigger subjects about technology, the ethics of technology, the morality of advancement, human nature in the use of things, like definitely getting back into all the philosophical and psychological implications
Yep.
of the struggle of advancements in technology and human nature, when human nature doesn't advance to deal with the advancements that are happening, and to have, a code of ethics like to go with it, or the stability like to do it. It just always seems to be in every episode. It's always how a human is using the technology that destroys it. I'll go back to uh uh a part of the nation, the one about the bees becoming extinct, and they made mechanical bees
Oh yeah.
to pollinate everything. But then a madman took it over for revenge, and the bees became killer assassins, crawling up people's noses and just destroying their brains. I'm terrorized by that episode still, because it was like they took this whole like good thing that they were doing and these great advancements in technology that were going to save the world, because the shortage of honeybees, in my opinion, was one of the biggest things we've faced in our generation. And it was global impact so fast. When
Yep.
America found a shortage in bee, like 75% of food production around the world was going to be affected. Like, you need pollination to happen, you know? And so like that was the first time for a global crisis they were all dealing with it, and it was like, it was a good edge to the story. I remember it really well. It was so fantastically done till they turned those little suckers into assassins, and I was terrorized. Like, terrorized that somebody could just hack into a system, take it over.
Yeah,
And
science fiction's quickly becoming science education. It
it's
really
like
is.
exactly science education. Spot on, Charlie. It's like what we feared, like, oh, that can't happen. Like, this is just a story, right? Like, if you read 1989 or you read any Soylent Green,
84, you crazy woman.
yeah, that's true. 1984, sorry. I do know it's Orwell. Sorry, not sorry. But you start reading, going back to all the books I read when I was younger, the classics, and you're seeing that the technologies and the things that were there, they exist. They absolutely exist now. Like spot on, exactly what everybody was talking about. But and it's kind of terrorizing to know that the way we use it hasn't advanced enough. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like the technology is advancing, but are we? Are we as humans putting enough work into ourselves to be able
Way outpaced by it. Way outpaced.
we're definitely not working on ourselves enough to be able to deal with technology and the moral and ethical questions that are coming up with it. I mean, this happens in gene mapping and coding and atom splitting, you name it. Okay, all the sciences, all the technologies moving ahead at such a pace. It's such advancements, and yet are we actually capable of dealing with it appropriately? You know,
Ultimately, I don't think so.
I no. I mean, when you look around the world, you look at the craziness right now in 2025. I would have to agree with you. It's like almost like we took a step back in rational thinking rather than critical thinking. It's
Why do
like
we
it,
need to do
you know,
that when we can have a machine do it?
it, yeah, like we inherently just lazy? You know, like are we going to be surprised when they actually take over the world when we actually let them? If you're letting your refrigerator tell you what you need to get at the store, like seriously, you know what I mean?
That's
Like
never
where?
going to be me. And I might be dating myself, but I'm never going to sit in a car and let it drive me somewhere. I'm just not doing that.
No, you're not. Okay. So, well, you wanted to talk Easter eggs, and you're not usually good with that, but I'm sure you have some because, like, the way you said it, I'm sure you have a few. So I'll let you tell
Well, my
whichever.
main one, I did on my second or third viewing, I decided to try. And I did see, like you said, what's his name again? Damn it. The Collins office.
Oh,
Collins
yes.
office was
Colin Ritman.
probably 95% of the Easter eggs, other than like the ashtray and maybe a couple
Mm-hmm.
other things. But like
What'd you
just in
see in
that
the
one
office?
scene alone, I paused it and you saw uh, like a super long bookcase in his office, and it was just covered and the walls had the uh, poster alluding to the McAllister,
Mm-hmm.
Waldo, and my favorite was obviously the metal dog from my favorite episode of Black Mirror, Metalhead.
Yep. It's absolutely.
Yep.
Yep. They had so many movie posters up there. Um,
See, when I watch Marvel stuff, that's when I pick up on all of them first time through, and I just didn't know the lore enough. I had to pick through it and kind of think, but I'm sure
mhm.
you got more.
No, well, there was uh definitely there was one for the USS Callister. There was Fleet. It was the game that was there, the Fleet poster. There was the Metalheads poster. There was a Bandersnatch poster. There was also a Bandersnatch book again on Colin's desk. Okay,
Yep.
multiple. There was also a glass ashtray in Colin's office too, over to the side, similar to the one that Cameron hit him with, which was throwback. Just the whole building itself, Tucker Soft, is the definitely a throwback to Bandersnatch. Main character Mo, the owner, that guy's so funny. The original actor is back. He plays the original character. Owner is Tucker Soft. Colin, obviously Bandersnatch. Those are throwbacks too. Um, but also not only just the posters and all that were in there, just the use, just the whole setup was very similar to his office in Bandersnatch also. It was probably the same room. I have to go back and watch Bandersnatch to look, but it gave me the feel that it was the same where he was writing the code in that room too. But before we even get to Colin's lair, like his office at Tucker Smart, when they were in the mini mart, when he gets arrested, when Cameron gets arrested, that whole mini mart is full of Easter eggs of candy from Dita, which is the candy company from Bete Noir, which is the episode that we did number 2, I believe. And from season 7 that we just did, and it also has like candy from White Bear, Poset's Crisps featuring like
The
that's from
only cheating one I did that I looked up was ZI's neural implants from White Christmas are mentioned on the shop window.
on the shop window. It's actually an advertisement. Yes, there you go. But there's all this candy, the crisps from Nosedive and stuff like that. Smithereen candles are on the shelf. That's from that episode. Um,
And the song "Anyone Who Knows What Love is in several
which is
episodes.
which it absolutely gets in several episodes. There you go. See, Charlie, you're better at Easter eggs than you thought. There you go. But the Hucklebuck snack, which was the Dita thing, which was resolved all around Bed Noir, it appears twice in Plaything, not only at the mini mart, but it's in the tube scene too. Uh,
Yep.
that they're eating they're eating them there. So in the tube scene, that's one of those things where um you see that like Cameron's kind of losing it, like when he's in the tube, and I mean like like a subway. America, we
Nodding
would
back and forth. Yeah.
yeah, and every poster is like they know, they, and he's like freaking out, and like he sees all these signs everywhere of like he's gonna get caught. Um, yeah, that was another part of the cinematography that really got me. That made it very. You felt the intensity of it. You felt his panic, and that he was definitely losing
And
it.
that's not in every episode, so it stuck out.
Yeah, it really did. But just the Thronglets as a reference is kind of like they look like little bunnies, kind of, but not like I don't even I don't like
Kind of
Jen
like a
said,
minion with tentacles on their head.
like a little softer version of like a Furby or an Ewok like combination thing.
But the
Um,
main thing to take away about their appearance is how innocent they look.
yeah, and that's
Granted, they're
kind
not evil. They're just doing what they think they should do or
yeah.
what they feel they need to do.
But for me, it also gave like a real throwback to the existence of alternate realities on the same plane that they did for like in Callister, where he cloned people into a game, or in White Christmas, where they actually took your memory and made a whole nother world
Yep.
that were existing, and then you thought you were there, but it was all just in your mind, just to play with you. Like it was really kind of wild. Um, but also like the QR hacking itself, they've done that in Shut Up and Dance. They did it in Hated in the Nation, with the QR code. It kind of is a scary plot that
I've
keeps.
been weirded out by QR codes since their inception, and I don't have a good reason. I just think they're weird.
And then you
Like,
use just I don't know. Well, people use them for discounts. They use them to pay bills now. They use them for everything. Like in some countries, you actually have your bank card is a QR code like right on your phone, and you're like, dude, like we
yeah,
have
I'm
that.
never doing that until they
Yeah.
force me.
You can, I'm not going to do it. Here's what prevents me from doing it. And I might be very old fashioned, but do you remember when there was this whole big thing that people could walk up next to you and be able to clone your phone?
Yep.
Steal all your data, like, or just like take your credit card numbers from the strips on the back of your cards with certain devices just walking up next to you, and you would never even know. That scared me. I watched a documentary about that, and that was years ago, and that's just scared the heck out of me. That I refuse to advance in certain parts of technology because of it, like QR
Yeah, my
codes.
phone asks me to turn on biometrics every few days, and I'm like, you can suck it. I'm not doing that.
I'm not doing it. I know. I'm just weird. I'm going to be like a technophobe about certain things. In certain things, I'm all in it. Like I use AI, for research and stuff like that, to draw memes, to make pictures, avatars, stuff, even to do artwork for my Hitchhiker's Guide series, for Life, the Universe, and everything. All of those were AI generated, like, panels in. So I use it, but like I'm not a programmer. I don't know. I mean, I know how computers work. I used to work in an industry where I had to. But once you're out of it for a few years, technology advances so far ahead. Like, I feel like a newbie. I feel like a noob, like all the time. Like I just don't feel like I have a good grasp of anything anymore. Um, but this
Me
episode
either.
was so familiar to me. Like, I guess, that was it. It was just so familiar to me, all of the technology, but you caught the throwback to the PC magazine, and that was actually, definitely on purpose. And it was the original, actual, real PC magazine edition that they showed. It was cool. It's probably the reason why he leaves stories unfinished, just like Charlie demonstrated. It makes you wonder and think about the story in order to guess at the outcome. You mean about Charlie and sequels? Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. He doesn't do sequels. I mean, USS Callister will be the first one where he actually continues the story. The ever widening shot could also be demonstrating the exponential growth of an epidemic. Exactly. Um, True. He's talking about that end scene shot that we were talking about with the sound
Yep.
supposedly going worldwide. Absolutely. They use that when they talk about viruses spreading and everything. Absolutely, Jin. You know.
Love, Death, and Robots is an animation show that I like a lot, and they don't they did one they've done one where they revisit the same characters, but it's kind of like Black Mirror in that you just find common linkages, even if it's just a name or a destination. That is shared all across them.
Mm-hmm. Just like I know I got the title wrong, Jin. Don't tell on me. I heard his hearing's not really good anymore since he's like gone. So don't tell on me.
Oh well, Orwell.
Oh well, or well. Hey Jin, what menu at the restaurant? I missed one. Look, Jin found an Easter egg that I didn't find. What is the menu for? Don't tell me it's for Bernie's chicken. Okay, Bernie's. That's from another episode where they couldn't, where the girl, they were able to change reality. And and yes, yep. Couch reminds me that to both of us and all of us that a QR code is nothing but a picture of a URL. It sends you to a site. So the applications aren't really all that limited. Mm-mm. True. It's a link you can take a picture of to send you some like. I do love that series, Couch. I thought about doing that. I talked to Charlie about doing that a long time ago. I like that. That's the series you told me about, Charlie. Love, Death, and Robots.
It's so good. I love it.
It's very Black Mirror-ish.
And I'm
Oh,
not a
the
huge
QR code.
animation junkie, but it showcases like the absolute best in different ways people are animating these days. Everyone's
Yes.
completely different, and there's a couple of them that are live action.
Well, that's what I liked about it because it was like everyone is like separate, just like Black Mirror, and it's like
My
they're
favorite
all.
is a live action one where Topher Grace and his girlfriend get an apartment, and in the shower, and in this really old refrigerator in the deep freeze, there's a tiny, tiny little civilization that evolves at like a rapid rate, and it's really cool. And it's only like 10 minutes, 12 minutes long.
Hmm. That's what I like is that they're not too long. They're all separate, but they all have like a kind of similar theme about the whole thing. It's all futuristic and it's all problems with technology and or future drama. Well, oh, Jin, I see what you mean. QR code for getting the bloody menu at a restaurant. I see. There,
Yep.
many of them are like that. Yep. Now you sit down and they've got this whole big thing. Even drive-throughs now. Like it's crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's perfect. Me and my girlfriend were at Red Robin the other day, and fuck, and she's like, "You scan that," and I was like, "You do that." I'm John Connor. You embrace the robot overlords. I'll be underground fighting the fuckers.
Yeah. Some of the posters definitely it doesn't it, and you sit there and you end up like for me, I'm just like, gosh, like how am I going to keep up? Give me another 10 years, I'm going to be totally lost. Totally lost. They'll be like, I don't know. I have to
Get
make
off
more
my
of an effort.
lawn.
Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be me.
That
Stop
is
it,
me.
computer signal. Can you turn that down? Some of the posters that we missed in the room. I know you mentioned the metalhead one, right?
The metalhead wasn't a poster; it was like a little statuette of the dog.
Oh, the robot dog, of course,
Yep.
absolutely, yeah, that. But there was the Waldo, right? The cartoon bear from Waldo.
Yep.
In You mentioned the space. I mentioned the Space Fleet poster. There's the Bandersnatch poster. There's a Striking Vipers poster, which is one of my favorite episodes.
Yep.
Striking Vipers. It's actually the reference is the fighting game, actually. And then there's one called Nosedive, and it's all like misspelled. Well, that's definitely a throwback to Nosedive. There's Men Against Fire, the military shooter that was in Men Against Fire, and then also there was a visual nod to Demon 79 with a version of one of those posters up there too. So it was pretty cool. Um, Also, this I didn't find myself. This I found on the internet, but all the way they got so into the details for the Easter eggs. I mean, Charlie's really messing with everybody. Now that they know that everybody looks for the Easter eggs, everybody on the crew adds to the Easter eggs. The cinematographer and the director are actually adding Easter eggs that Charlie doesn't even know about until he sees the stuff. Like they're throwing stuff in there all the time. And one of the things they threw in there this time is art by the child Pearl Ritman, which is Colin's daughter from Bandersnatch, that are visible like over onto the side, and there's also a picture of her on his desk, like just a throwback to the original Bandersnatch episode to make it like they're in an alternate universe, but it's at the same time. So it's definitely that you get to feel that this is definitely at the same time Bandersnatch was happening.
Parallel at the very least.
Yeah, yeah. So like Colin, it is the same time that Colin was alive and all of these things. Like it's like the same era. It's like the same time frame. That and they also reference Colin's first episode, so to speak, his psychotic break. Um, when he has the second episode, he's just like, oh, he's back from his psychotic break. So it might have been like after everything happened.
Yep.
Yeah. But oh yeah. So there was just so much. The computer itself just like threw me, all the old hardware, everything. But
Like
oh
when he slapped the magazine with the CD on it on the
yeah,
table, I seriously remembered carefully plucking those off and rolling the glue off
yep,
before I put it in. And I remembered I can't remember if it was on the show, but I remembered getting a Doom demo from one of those.
oh yeah. I remember Doom when Doom was free. Remember in and
I still
Wolfen.
remember the cheat codes,
Yeah,
IDKFA and ID
yeah.
clip.
And if you knew a programmer, you got the cheat codes from people. Like I used to get them from the programmers at work. And in Wolfenstein, I could never die. I had the biggest weapon, and I could never die. And I just remember freaking them out because they didn't really expect a woman sitting there working with them to actually really enjoy blowing people away on a regular basis. But I did. It just got my aggressions out. Like I liked it. Love those. We used to call them God codes. Did you guys call
Yep,
them?
IDKFA was God mode on
Mm-hmm.
Doom. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You couldn't die,
And
no matter
ID
what.
clip was the one where you went through walls and you could get like lost in between the walls and the map.
You got. I don't know why they made that one because you got stuck a lot. Didn't
Yeah.
you get stuck? I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
you couldn't get back out. Like why?
Your computer would be like, nah, and it'd be like,
No, I don't want. You could just be sitting there. I remember like getting stuck in the wall before dinner, going out, having dinner, coming back, and there I am. The computer still didn't get me out. I was just like in a reboot. It's awful. Yeah, but big throwbacks to all of that. I'm sure they have similar stuff now. I'm just not really good with the new modern games. I don't have the um.
yeah, but it's a QR code now.
If it is, I ain't using it. Okay, not after this episode. I'd have to say this one disturbed me about how real it was and how possible it was, and how like close to like happening any day. Like it really kind of got me. Like it's just like there was just too much that it could happen. Like all the time. And also it brought bigger issues up, like a whole nother discussion about um relating to virtual worlds lately and how we're filling in a lot of the things we're missing in our lives lately with this. How definitely Cameron did, and
Yep.
became a whole nother more, as you said, his relationship with the Thronglets had him grow more secure in who he was and how he dealt with the world, gave him more he was less timid, more confident in
As
his
close to
speech.
fatherhood as he'd ever get.
Right, from taking care of them in and relating with them and everything. And you know, it brought up a bigger conversation about how much we are substituting so much of who we are in our alternate realities here out here on the internet, um, whether good or bad. Some, there's the whole argument that gaming itself, leads to violence and this and that, which has been disproven. I just want to say that right now. I'm not saying that. I wouldn't say that. I have had the discussions. I have seen the studies, and you know, definitely it's not going to be a discussion on whether they're good or bad, but like some people actually feel that like exposure to it desensitizes us or something. But that would be the general world anymore in what you see in media. But
Has
I think,
he
well,
has he explored? I haven't seen them all. You have. Has he ever explored anything like our technology reaching such a paramount and everybody, damn near everybody being part of it, and then losing it all at once? Because that interests me a lot. Like
well,
everybody counting on the internet for absolutely everything, and then it's gone,
well,
and people
metalhead
don't even know how to tie their shoe.
metalhead was the most dystopian, where
Yeah,
the adversary, the villain, still was connected in some way, but the humans on the planet had no connection to each other or the
yeah,
rest of the world.
total
So,
role reversal. Yeah,
right. So there, actually, yeah, he did. In sometimes, also he does. He- Um,
the people are the scrambling animals, and the metal dogs are the ones in control.
well, they have the one where the Martian, like the astronauts, actually are able to project themselves into a dummy, their whole, like another robot on Earth, to experience their families because of the distance that they are and they can't get there. You know, do you know what I mean? Like, as if they could transmute their whole personality and their brain into the robot and experience life with their families down on Earth, like mini vacations. Like that was weird. That was
It's
very
all a
weird.
very fascinating theme for me, and there's a lot of it going around. Like that new movie Companion, I really enjoyed the hell out of that.
There's also the episode where you could revive a loved one into a robot.
Yeah, just like
Uh,
Replicants with
like
Keanu.
a replicon with, yeah, yep, and like that. But I think that I think that just about wraps it up for us, Charlie. Do you have any last words you'd like to say about it? I mean, first of all, thank you for doing it. I know you're not a huge fan, but I thought this episode, based on when it was a good one for you, and I'm really glad that you did it with me.
Yeah, you
I,
did a good job because I wasn't going into it skeptical. I was going into it. I got to talk myself into liking this as much as her so I can be of use. But it took care of it because I really liked it,
mm-hmm.
and I reduce things to like a primal level a lot, and like from racism to technology to everything, and I couldn't help but do it with this too. It was a primal theme when you break it down again.
Yep. It just, I'm, I'm just really happy to have another view on it because, like you said, I go crazy. Like I'm just such a Brooker fan. I don't think there's anything he could do I would think is awful. Like
Yep.
I might try to be honestly critical of some areas, but in the end, I'm still going to come down with he's a genius. I want to have him over for dinner. I would love to have a conversation with the man. He definitely makes me think, and his writing and what he puts out there always makes me feel. And if I can think and feel with entertainment, then that's a plus. Like that's a go.
And
That
it's
is always
definitely not cookie cutter or rushed material at all. It's
it is
very
def-
heady.
Definitely not, because like I always say this, he's got a definite talent to building teams and letting the director direct and the cinematography do that, and just letting them know what he wants and letting them actually be part of the project in such a way that they get it, and it just makes it that much better. They're all on this, like they're all there together making the best product at all. Many
Yep.
voices, and it's just brilliant. So many layers to it. It's watchable again and again and again. So I just recommend everybody, if you haven't seen any of the episodes, you can see them all on Netflix right now and some other platforms. Those of you that are creative know how to find them. You know. Also, all the reviews. I've done every single episode of Black Mirror. There's a playlist. If you want to watch them after, but definitely watch them after, because I'll ruin it for you, because we go in on it all. We just say it
And
all.
some people might like that. Some people might like a little diagram of what's to look out for and enjoy it more formulaically like that.
Well, I'm definitely a fan. I'm definitely biased, but I do enjoy having people up here who aren't, because it kind of makes it a little more balanced for everybody. But thank you for joining me, Charlie. This was a blast. In I did want to tell you, like we talk about how I ruin everything that I watch. I actually created a new series called Claire Ruins Viewing for movies and series. So if you ever want to do anything strikes you want to talk about on the net, let me know. I have a whole
Absolutely.
vehicle for it. We did. It was actually fun. It's kind of like a Black Mirror review, but not Black Mirror. But thank you, everybody. Thank Mrs. Cassandra. Thanks. I see that you came, and Mousy. Thank you so much. I see everybody in the chat. All of you that view later. Thank you so much. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And for those of you that have Kick and Twitch accounts, please give me a follow over there. It's free. I'm trying to build up a base and do a couple of multi-platform streams. So if you can, I'd appreciate it. But
And do
again,
civilization a favor. Don't download and play the Thronglets game.
oh, I heard it was fun. I think Couch was playing it.
That's
He said
famous
it was
last
kind of
words.
fun.
It was fun. They're so cute. Bonk, we're dead.
I don't know. I'm going to talk to Couch about it and see if I should put it on my phone. You know,
Fine. Nice knowing you.
I, the Thronglets game, Couch, that he's talking about. Do you put that on your phone or your PC?
All of it. It goes on everything instantly with a QR code, obviously. You'll be drilling a hole in your head by fucking July.
Okay, you gonna check on me next week, Charlie? Because I'm looking for the game. I'm thinking about playing it. They sounded. Oh, you don't think it was you, Couch? Somebody was playing Thronglets. Somebody was telling me that the game was available. I'm sorry, Couch, if it wasn't you. I didn't mean to throw you under a bus or anything. Um,
It was Orwell from 1987.
Yeah, on your phone, nothing like instant access to the internet. Absolutely, Jen, I get you. Anyway, Charlie, if you don't hear from me, that's what happened. I
Yep.
downloaded it. Okay. It's like on that, I think we're gonna cut it. Charlie, thank you very much. I know you gotta go. Thanks for giving me the time, and
Yes, ma'am.
hope to talk again soon. So everybody, have a great night. Thanks for joining us. And Clarence, I see you just popped up. I can't wait for the 20th to do episode 5 with you on for eulogy. That should be great. Oh, and you have the Thronglets game. Was it you that told me about it then? We got to talk, Clarence. Hit me up. I want to know about the game before I download it and scare Charlie. And he starts like asking me to show him the back of my head to see if I put a port in or something.
I'm going to call her on the phone and it's just going to be a dial up sound.
I want to get that. You know what? I'm fascinated with that. For all you sound engineers out there, and you know who I'm talking to, find me that sound. I want it for soundboard, and I want to put it on my phone. I want it. I want that sound. I do. I'm obsessed now. Anyway, have a good night, Charlie. Bye,
It's sad
everybody.
watching such a good friend just walk right into doom with a smile on her face, giggling.
Giggling like a mad woman about it too on the way. Well, it should. No, really, I can't wait. No, that sound, like, it just reminded me. Don't you like to get reminded of your youth? Come on, like once in a while. It's just, I don't want that sound to ever die. It's part of a generation. Anyway, good night, everybody.